Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone's doing okay and having a good day today. Let me know when you can hear me and see me. As always, I would I would really appreciate it if you can put in the comments that you can hear me clearly and that the audio and video are coming through all right. I've had a long day today, but it was a really good day. I attended a Seagree uh, event in Birmingham, and we had a lot of good um, speakers, and it was really beneficial and informative. And it's funny because I haven't been engaging or active with the Seagrey for many years now. I started back in 2011 when I was doing my master's degree, and the first two papers I published were in a Seagrey conference, and they were about blackout mitigations and wide area protection systems. And but that's a topic for another day. And it was really good to meet a lot of um, important people in this field, and had a couple of delegations or delegates from a few delegates actually from different universities. We had from Strathclyde University in Glasgow, Scotland. I met people from Birmingham University, from Manchester University, as well as a lot of impressive people working on very important um, topics and areas in power grids and power system planning, whether they are with National Grid or um, with the system operator. So, a lot of really good networking today, and I really found it very useful. I quite enjoyed today, and it was a sunny day, so that's uh, that's also always good. Now, if you could let me know in the comments where are you joining me from. So hello and everybody, welcome to everybody joining me today. As I told you about my day, tell me in the comments, how was your day? Did you learn something new today, or did you come across something interesting? Let's share the knowledge and the experience. And it's good that you can hear me. I can see some engagement, so that's good. And always at any time, put your comments or your questions or opinions. I welcome anything you have to say, whether it's feedback or opinion or a question or a suggestion. So please put that in the comments and give me the thumbs up if it's loud and clear, please. So if you can hear me all right, just please give me the thumbs up. And at any time, if we have, because last time we had a problem, I think there was a glitch with live. So if you find that there is any issue, just please write it in the comments for me. Good. And as always, welcome to my live today. And today we're going to be talking very briefly about the future of electrical engineering and where we see the opportunities in the near future. This is a very interesting topic. I'm very enthusiastic about it and excited about the opportunities because I've never ever seen something like this, and I haven't heard of anything like. I mean, this is an unprecedented era for electrical engineers. So I'm really excited about sharing this with you and or this information with you and what I know about this today. And for those who don't know me, hi and welcome. My name is Mohammed. I work as a director of design for Orius, where we build substations, battery energy storage projects, overhead lines, amongst other things, distribution network operator frameworks. So we do a lot of substation and power grid connection projects in the UK. I have over 17 years of experience in substation design and engineering management, and done different roles with different companies. You can always check my LinkedIn. And I like doing these lives because I like to share the knowledge. So I really, really appreciate people who share the knowledge on LinkedIn, and I want to give something back to everybody and to the community. And more importantly, I want to connect with interesting people. So I want to connect with engineers and hear from them what kind of like interesting things they're working on and learn from them. And also, I'm pushing myself. So, I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I'm pushing myself and expanding my public speaking skills. So, here we go. So, let's start with talking about the opportunities and why is it important to know where the opportunities are, even if you're not looking and even if you're not interested in um, supposedly switching your career or thinking of something different. Give me the thumbs up if you are thinking of something like that. But more and better opportunities always come with more knowledge. So the more knowledgeable you are, um, I would say the more opportunities you will have. That's what I found to be the case so far. And many people are fine and okay with what they're doing and they want to continue doing it. They don't want any, hassle. And that's fine. That's okay. That's fair enough. They're happy with what they're currently doing and no less, no more. That's fair enough. But the world is changing and new opportunities are coming up all the time. So having this knowledge will help you see them and will help you, gain access to them. I would say relatively easily. So I can see some questions. I'll get to those in a minute. But there will be some fast growing jobs, and I invite you to have a look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, which was issued, I believe, in January of this year. And this is where you will find and you will read about a lot of the fastest growing jobs and more worryingly, well, not worrying, I would say we don't need to worry. We need to be positive, but there are there are some jobs that are going to be, I would say, well, they say that they're going to be disappearing, but I would say they are going to be dramatically affected by the macro trends, which we are going to talk about and discuss in a bit. And so, you know, you'll know where and how to look for new jobs or better opportunities if you get that kind of knowledge and if you seek that kind of knowledge. Sorry, my computer is playing up, but yeah, okay. So, with more knowledge, you will get more and better opportunities, regardless whether you're looking for a new role or a new job or not. Okay. And in case you need to pivot, we are reading and learning about, that some jobs are going to be dramatically affected or they're going to be disappear. So you don't want to be left out of options. And there are some jobs that are going to be vastly and still, declining, but they are going to be vastly declining in the near future. Unfortunately, that's just life. That's the cycle of life. So you could find yourself in a business that experiences major change soon. So it's important to know what's happening in the industry. It's important to know what's happening around you and what is having a direct and perhaps an indirect longer term effect on your career. It's very important to know these things. Um, so this makes a big difference in your career. Knowing these things, you could anticipate sometimes things. You could be more prepared, and for the majority of us, our careers are our livelihoods. So um, again, this knowledge is important, and it doesn't. I would say at least it doesn't cause you any harm to learn and know about this. And one other thing that I personally find with these kind of things is to try different things, because with this knowledge, we hopefully, and some time, of course, on our hands when we get the time, we can try different things to see what could work and what doesn't for us. I mean, I feel and believe that we are on a self discovery journey. So We're always learning about ourselves. We are continuously, learning what we like to do or what we enjoy to do, and we change all the time. So it's important to try these new things to get, more exposure, to learn more about yourself, because that is the first step in you thriving and prospering and having a successful career. You need to understand more about yourself. With more exposure, of course, you grow and you learn as an engineer, and you find out, as we said, what you're good at, what you enjoy, and what you could be doing more of naturally, which comes to you naturally, and hence, finding it easier to find success or to be successful. And you can make sure that you enjoy, or you're doing what you can enjoy. So trying new things will continuously, help you to evolve. And staying up to date on skills, and that's very important, because the world around us is changing, as we said. So it's very important to learn about these things so that you know what skills are going to be in demand in the future. So again, go back to that future of work report, and you could also, I will put, if you want me to put something or write about it in my newsletter, just please comment and let me know if you'll be interested in this article, and I'll send it over to you straight away. Uh, so, what are the skills that are going to be in demand in the future? And remember, we go back a little bit and remember a few years back, or a couple of years back, when the pandemic hit, and some of us struggled to actually begin with, trying to manage the digital access, being remote. And, you know, we were, yeah, although some of us struggled, but that, skill proved to be very, very important. And eventually, I think majority of the workforce gained those set of skills needed to work remotely, work digitally, etc. Some were more forced into it than others, but um, this is what happens. You need to stay up to date on skills and not wait for a situation that forces you to learn those skills at the expense of your comfort. So, and this will continue in the future, although, God forbid we don't see another pandemic, but 60% of businesses will experience or expect digitalizations will continue to change the way they do things. So by 2030, there will be jobs that will dramatically change. There will be jobs that will disappear, and there will be jobs that will grow, and there will be new jobs. So again, 2030 is just around the corner. We're not talking hundreds of years away. So we're only talking another 5 years. So there's growing demand for technology related skills, and it will continue growing. And it's not just Microsoft Office or AutoCAD or these software that were considered important in the past and now are, to be honest, considered basic. They're fundamentals. So we'll discuss later today, the skills that are in demand going into the next phase are going to be more sophisticated than that. And some skills are often perceived as out of field, are now inherently part of what we do. For example, environmental and sustainability awareness and skills around that, risk assessment. So we will talk about these skills. And more importantly, at the end, we don't want you, or I don't want you to be left behind. And not having the up to date knowledge and information means that you can be left behind, because others are acquiring this knowledge at to be fair, high speeds. I'm impressed by some of these people. I don't know even how they do it. By the time I finish, I've written about this, but by the time I get to finish an AI application course, um, you know, that's over a number of weeks. By the time I get to finish it, there is a new thing coming out, and I'm no longer able to catch up. I'm no longer able to keep up with trending AI applications and the number of new things that come out and that we need to learn. And I assume the same is happening with the skills and learning modules out there that are probably, there are probably millions of them out there. So you can learn everything on the internet nowadays. I know that they say, you don't even need to, well, you can go to university online now, so you can learn everything on the internet. So it's an exciting time, but at the same time, it's a very challenging time to keep up with the trends and the new information. And if you do not grow, you risk stagnation. And as we said, others are learning this. So if you don't learn it, you're gonna be out of touch with the industry. I'm not talking about changing jobs or promotions again. If you do want that, that's great. We all aspire to something. But I'm talking about the bare necessities here. And I'm talking that, for you to be aware of the new trends and updates and the new skills needed and utilize them in learning and applying yourself. And that's the bare minimum that we're talking about. And it's, in order to, nobody can predict the future. So I don't think I can sit here or anyone could sit and say, oh, this is what the job will look like in the future. It's very difficult. Although we could, draw an analogy and learn from it and probably expect where things could be heading in the near future. So if you think about how our jobs evolved over the last, I don't know, 20 years, or maybe even more. So let's say 30 years. And we mentioned the pandemic, which was over the last 5 years, but longer term, going back in the past for longer, our jobs today became, more paperless, or you know involving, or more digitalized, let's put it this way. So it's important to measure and discuss how our current roles evolved over time. So you can notice that over the years, how our jobs became almost paperless. Back in the day, craftspeople, I'm talking about design, of course, but craftspeople used to sit for hours at drawing boards and do everything manually. And today, people use AutoCAD, Revit, and MicroStation or whatever, and it's considered basic fundamental stuff. So this resulted in less and less people dedicated, or dedicated personnel for that kind of work. And that meant that there is less need, or there is need for less draftspeople, and there is more expectation that the engineer has that as part of their skill set. That's just what's happening now. So digital drafting and CAD has become a basic and a fundamental for almost all engineers. And people who got better and quicker and faster at these skills thrived. So you have to measure against these three things. One, what was the technology change and how did it affect us? And two, how did it affect the number of people or the type of roles involved? And three, how did it actually result in an additional layer of requirement for the current workforce? And if you think about that, that was over the past 20, 30 years. So that's going to happen in the future in another dimension or in a similar dimension. Does that make sense? Give me the thumbs up, please, if you're following. So when it comes to jobs like, for example, SCADA and control, and SCADA started with analog connections and to remote centers, and now it's heavily reliant, almost entirely reliant on computer networking and IP networking. So it has also over the last, I'm giving an example of how a role changed or a job changed. And in substation, it has morphed with substation automation. It has morphed with telecoms engineering, network engineering, we mentioned, of course. And in some companies, some of the big companies or the OEMs, they call them systems engineers now. So there is kind of like relevance to, what other, let's say, software companies are doing. I know that people might think of systems engineering as a different term, and they might say, well, that's not systems engineering. but it is, and these companies are telling us it is, and it's an engineering role that combines software with hardware with systems. So it's called systems engineering, and it entails telecoms as well. So data engineering, um, you know, programming skills, system design are all now skills that are considered basic and fundamental. And one interesting trend which has been on the rise over the last 10 to 15 years is the outsourcing, well, maybe perhaps 20 years, I would say, but the outsourcing of design into other places that make it more cost efficient. Now again, we work in businesses, they're all driven by cost efficiency and profits and continuous improvement and improvement of quality, etc. So there are, excuse me, there are drivers that are very apparent to all of us, and this is why design over the last 20 years has been predominantly, I wouldn't say in all cases, certainly not where I work, but predominantly in many places has been outsourced. When that happened, we still need people with specialties in design, but there is now more need for coordination skills. So coordination skills are on the rise, and if you go and read the book called A Whole New Mind by Daniel Pink, and it talked about all these trends, and it's not just happening in the energy industry; it's happening in you know law, it's happening in, I don't know, in every other industry around banking. So everything is being outsourced somewhere where there is a richness of human resource. There are more, let's say, graduates in that area, in that field or area. So there is a lot more human resource, and which is more cost efficient. And people might read into that or have opinions. We're not here to debate opinions. We're talking about the facts, and we're trying to observe what to learn to help our careers. Yeah. So let's not. I know people like to debate these things, and please don't debate things on my page. An open, healthy debate is always welcome, but some of these debates become very negative very quickly. So just to put it out there, not interested in negative debates. So we're talking about design coordination. This is where the people could grow, will grow, who have coordination, management, and communication, better communication skills. And again, we'll talk about those later. But project management started being, again, very fundamental, very basic skill, but it's part of the engineering management role. And leadership traits are expected more and more now. So people no longer are tolerated, for being waiting around or to be told what to do. You are expected to have a sense of initiative by default. Okay. And of course, over the last 10 years or so, sustainability, environmental awareness, environmental impacts, these are all now part of the, skills that we all need to have. Frankly, we need to be aware of the carbon footprint of everything we do and build and design. We need to be aware of any impacts on the environment and mitigate any environmental risks. So that's no longer optional. And risk assessments, for health, safety, for the environmental, for well-being as well. We'll talk about that, but these are no longer optional things. And this is how the roles evolved over the last 10 to 15 years. So these are all basic and fundamental skills, and they need to be, they're expected by default in any role now. So experience as well in these are a must. And there is no excuse for anybody not to have these kind of experiences or skills today, because they're everywhere. Courses are out there, people are out there who talk about them and teach us online and offline. So there is no excuse for anybody coming into a role saying that I don't know about sustainability. So no, you need to learn. You need to get up to speed with the skills needed around that. In terms of health and safety, it's your number one priority, of course, in construction, no doubt about it. So, and lastly, well-being and other areas are becoming also, are gaining more momentum. And there is a huge emphasis on this over the last 10 years. I've seen it, it's grown massively. And well-being is no longer trivial, it's a priority. Psychological safety is actually a business priority as well, because this is how you keep your teams intact, and you keep your people engaged. Okay, so there is growing um, emphasis and focus on emotional intelligence as well. So those people who could work with different people and read the room, and work with different groups. So a leader who could work with a group of diverse people, or work with almost everyone, is somebody who companies will try and attract all the time. And inclusion is also a big priority. Those who can tailor their management and communication styles to suit others who are you know different, because we're all different. And now, okay, let's take some questions. Let's see if we can take some questions. Do we have any questions in the chat? Give me the thumbs up, please. Okay. What is the future of onshore wind power projects in the United Kingdom? So, good question, Arbab. So, um, the United Kingdom, or yeah, the UK wants to double its onshore generation by 2030, and it wants to triple its solar, triple its offshore wind by 2030. So these are all very ambitious plans, and regardless what we think of them, there is a huge push for these projects. So there's going to be, massive demand for electrical engineers, for other types of engineering roles, and for other roles in the industry. So that's why I'm always excited about it. And I always say, like, there is a lot of work, and there's going to be massive opportunities. There's going to be a lot of good things. Let me just, yeah, a lot of good things as well happening, for electrical engineers, because think about it. Um, there is going to be more competition over engineers, and there are less engineers out there, especially the qualified and experienced ones. And companies are also starting to acknowledge, and the whole industry is starting to acknowledge, that we need to get that next level or next generation of engineers. So this is all good, signs, and things are looking very, very promising for engineers in these kind of um, industries. So onshore wind projects in the UK have got some challenges in terms of planning, in terms of locations, in terms of grid connection. However, they are very promising, because there is a huge push now to get more of them installed and constructed, and etc. Does that answer your question, Arbab? Another question comes from Sarthik. Hi, I'm a racing graduate with a master's degree. How should I go about getting a job as an international student? I'm having a hard time finding a job at the moment. What are some things I should remember? I would say, okay, first of all, it depends on what's your major. Could you write down, is it electrical engineering? So I would basically tell you, first of all, don't lose hope, because there's a lot of international students who are finding jobs. It's perhaps just a matter of a bit of luck, but also a matter of strategically targeting the roles and openings that suit you as a candidate. Now, if you are an international student, if you're a student in the UK anyway, you graduate, you're not expected to have experience for graduate roles. So start looking for the organizations that are actually looking for you. That's what I say, okay? And you could, network with hiring managers, early career managers in these companies. You could also network with recruiters. So there is a lot of recruiters out there who specialize in finding jobs for graduates. So so network with the right people. Yeah. And that takes a lot of effort and time. You need to be focused. You need to be spending time on LinkedIn and other. There are a couple of graduate job sites. I can't remember the names now. I'm sorry, but I will look for them and put them in the comments if you want. And there are, opportunities out there. It's just about trying and finding the right opportunity and keep learning. So you have to make sure that, if you are targeting a specific opening or role in a certain industry, let's say it's design in substations, let's just say for the sake of argument, that's what I know about. So if you're targeting that kind of role, then you need to understand and be aware of the minimum skills required. And again, nobody expects you to have experience. If they are hiring a graduate, they understand he's a graduate or she's a graduate, and it's impossible for them to have experience. Okay, it doesn't work. So basic skills will include CAD, and things around. We will always look at attitude. We will always look whether you're, a good team player. And how do we know that? Well, yeah, we're a good communicator as well. How do we know that, you may ask? Well, graduate, assessment panels, group interviews, etc. So there is a lot of things that you can practice and learn and rehearse. And I would say network with the right people. Okay, so find your career liaison within the university you're in or graduated from. Ask them to help you, get in touch with the opportunities that are out there for you, so they would know which companies um, to go to or to apply at. And best of luck. Yeah. Do you have any other questions? Please let them write them in the comments section. Okay. Who else is there? Kindly suggest which country would be the best for MS in electrical engineering. Any country. My master's was from Egypt, so I'm I'm Egyptian, and this is where I graduated, and this is where I learned. Kindly suggest which country would be the best for electrical engineering power. I'm also looking for a fully funded scholarship. I have no experience with that. I'm really sorry. I cannot help you with that. So you need to search for scholarships online and apply. And again, over LinkedIn, you will find the people who are interested in helping you. So there are going to be specialists out there who help, students write scholarship applications. I'm sure of it. There must be. So there is always going to be, the question is always going to be networking with the right people and finding the right people. And the good thing about the internet and about LinkedIn and about, you know, our world today is that everything is accessible. So there's going to be YouTube videos, I'm sure hundreds of YouTube videos on scholarship applications. And, so go for a dive, and find, search and find the people who are talking about these things. Okay. Now back to our topic. What are the major trends happening in the moment or at the moment in the world? And the first one is decarbonization. Have no doubt about it. But there are ambitious targets for global decarbonization. Okay. Hang on with me. Sorry. Let me just, for a minute, test the audio because I don't want it to glitch again. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that, but it was actually, as I told you, it glitched last week, and I was really annoyed with it because It did not glitch on the live, luckily, but it did glitch on the recording. So I had to go and upload the recording again, and it just took a long time for me. So apologies for that. But let's go back to our topic. So decarbonization. There are global and national um, ambitions to reach net zero by 2050, by 2030, 2035. There are many targets, but they're all ambitious. They are great. It's really interesting. It's really important for us to help as much as we could with this because it's the future of our planet. However, um, regardless what we think, there is going to be a huge push for renewables. Okay, so solar is expected to overtake wind, uh, and that's just going to happen over the next maybe 6 to 7 years. So it's interesting times. Let's see, but these are the projections at the moment because it's looking like solar is advancing more and more and is getting cheaper and cheaper, and it's getting really quicker to install and connect as well. So there are very interesting trends around solar out there. And again, if you want me to do a video about solar, let me know in the comments, please. Just write solar or something, and I'll know which subject to pick for the next time. But again, more renewables in general. So solar, wind. We've talked about. If I talk about the UK, where I live and work, and they want to double the onshore wind by 2030. They want to triple the offshore wind by 2030. They want to triple also the offshore, the solar by 2030. So there is a big push for renewables, and I don't need I don't need to tell you that you probably know it already. More renewables means more and more electrical engineers at an unprecedented rate in all areas. So we're talking about concept, we're talking about power system planning and modeling. We're talking about connection planning and modeling. We're talking about design, in different stages. We're talking about construction, installation, manufacturing, commissioning and testing. So we're talking about the different stages, and there are now becoming, so that's part of what we are talking about the future, but there are now titles, called, or roles just called renewable engineer. And that's a person who could really combine a number of these skills in different areas and perhaps through different stages or parts of the project life cycle. And again, in design, construction, operation and maintenance, and even decommissioning. So these are all fields that are going to be open and just demanding electrical engineers. Now, of course, engineers in general, but electrical engineers, I see a lot of civils engineers working with us, mechanical engineers. Yeah. So it's for all engineers really, but especially for electrical engineers. And renewables are intermittent. So that then asks the question of, supply versus demand versus, availability of the source, whether it's wind or solar, and how much of the energy can you harness. So curtailment, of these kind of uh, sources are also a question. So it becomes an investment, let's say, problem, that needs to be optimized and solved. So it's a very, very sophisticated system with layers and layers of challenges. But all I can tell you is electrical engineers are at the heart of it, and they will be required at unprecedented rates for that. And let's take, I think there are a couple of questions came in as well. Or shall we do? Yeah, okay, so let's carry on. We also want to talk about energy security. And again, a lot of countries are now finding out or, wanting to secure their, energy sources. So again, that push is going to be for more renewables, more, nuclear, more, more big projects. Yeah, whether it's in generation, whether it's in transmission, distribution. So Again, energy is a big topic. People want to make sure that they don't need anybody else for their energy. So that's pushing renewables, and renewables is pushing, battery energy storage and other type of energy storage. So we've got hydrogen, we've got maybe gas. So there is a lot of other energy storage options as well. And again, all these are more projects for electrical engineers to be involved in. And each of these fields and industries are growing in their own dimensions and demanding a specialist expertise. So engineers who enter these fields are being morphed into some sort of specialty. They're becoming solar engineers. They're becoming, wind energy engineers or renewables engineers or BESS, battery energy storage systems engineers. And let's not forget the grid upgrade and renovation. So any power grid is aging, with time, and it needs replacing. The asset will need replacing. It will need maintenance. It will need, upgrades, renovation, sometimes decommissioning and replacement, of course, as we said. So these are all, again, major trends. And if a country like the UK wants to, go net zero, and it wants to, they probably need 7 times the existing or 4 times the existing power grid in terms of transmission lines and an underground cable. And again, today I heard from a gentleman from National Grid that, there are huge schemes in the plan for overhead lines, and only one of these projects work is enough to take over all the overhead line human resource. People will build overhead lines in the country. So that's a huge demand, and have we don't have enough electrical engineers and people working in the industry to carry out all that work. So these are all pushes that, or good drivers to know about, that this is a field that is going to be in demand. And if I was a student today, I'll be considering, really, strongly considering to get into electrical engineering. That's for sure. I'm obviously biased, but it is a career that is, I believe, relatively future proof as it can be. And let's not forget interconnections today as well. We learned about like the global electricity grid. So again, more countries are getting interconnected, and this could help with the intermittence of renewables, and add to the flexibility and resilience of the system when it comes to dealing with the intermittence of renewable sources. And another major trend that you probably know about is data centers and the demand for AI. And AI models are, they're growing, they're changing, they are developing at crazy rates at the moment. And everything, a lot of industries have already incorporated AI heavily. And the energy industry and construction industry are still behind, but I'm sure they will get there at some point. However, the underlying statement here is that AI needs more data centers, which need more power. So that's going to drive, again, more and more projects. And I can tell you that at some point, AI is getting more efficient, of course. We can see that. But at some point, it will run out of energy. And again, there's a huge push for connecting data centers and projects around, electrification of data centers. So again, this is all more jobs for electrical engineers. And the other trends that we could think of are, the aging workforce, people, of course, retiring or choosing to retire, and, the shortage in skills. So the workforce is going to change, that's for sure. And people coming, we can see it with the fresh graduates. People coming in are used to different ways than we are as the older generations, and that's okay. We have to cope and adapt as well. So we have to change. We have to change the workplace to suit the new generation, because at some point we are gonna hand over the workplace to them. So it's only fair to make it something that they are comfortable working with. And we talked about the jobs integrating AI. I don't think AI will replace people, but as everybody says, people who are using AI will replace people. So learning AI is not going to be optional. It's going to be something that is considered basic and again, expected as a minimum. And of course, there is going to be more and more digitalization and visualization. So again, we're talking about VR, AR. I think they slowed down a bit over the last 10 years, but they are going to be picking up at some point. And I think the future workplace is a completely virtual workplace. I can see it. I've had a chance to try out some of the AR and VR applications in construction, and I really struggle to imagine anything else really, other than that happening. So I think this will happen in due course. So people again can start learning today about 3D design, data visualization, and digitalization in general. So these are important skills to pick up today. So the future roles, I believe, are going to be around what we talked about in terms of renewables, in terms of battery energy storage, in terms of HVDC, of course, and interconnections, and asset management. There is, a growing um, need for operation maintenance, asset management teams. That's for sure because the infrastructure is just multiplying. We talked about power systems, but we didn't mention modeling. I think we mentioned modeling in the beginning. I'm just trying to recap now. But modeling and power system studies are again growing. I can see a lot of companies, a lot of consultants setting up, a lot of people getting into this field. And again, I look at 15 years ago, there wasn't as many people in the power system modeling space. I remember during my master's degree, um, we, I was working with MATLAB, with PSCAD, with ETAP, and there wasn't many people in the industry using these things. It was only a few people, but today I can see many people, and that's a good thing. There's huge competition, but as well, it's more opportunities for new engineers and younger engineers to learn more about these specialities. And I still think that specialism is in demand. So the good engineers, it doesn't matter whether most of the companies are outsourcing design elsewhere or not. The good engineers will always find the better opportunities. And I mean, when I say good, I mean people who know their stuff, people who are specialists in their fields, people who are experts and have spent enough time working on something to gain its expertise or the expertise in it. And the coordinating engineer or the lead engineer or the chief engineer, the engineering manager, somebody who is coordinating a project involving multiple disciplines and different teams. These are again people who are going to be in demand because it's not easy to be emotionally intelligent, to be natural at communication, to know the interfaces, and to be also a specialist who could take technical decisions. So again, even with the other companies that are outsourcing designs to other places, they need somebody local, somebody at or where the project is to tie in all these different parts. So again, the project engineer or the technical project manager, if you like, is a growing role and is a role that is very promising and is a role that is pivotal and can actually open up um, a lot of opportunities for you if you're interested in that kind of role. So that's another um, promising career. There is a huge shortage at the moment for SAPs, for commissioning engineers, Again, I can see this growing massively. I don't have the numbers on those, I'm sorry, but again, we're talking about 4 to 7 times what the current grid is needed to be constructed by 2050 or 2040. So I don't think there's enough people for that. So again, huge opportunities for people to get into this field and to become or to enjoy successful careers in this field. Um, so I hope that was of benefit to you, and I hope that you've enjoyed this and learned something. And let's get to the questions. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section. We are we've got a few minutes, but we are 51 minutes. Every time I say I'll stay only for half an hour, and I go on and on. So please let me know if you've got any questions again. Uh, let's see. So Nofal says hi. Hi Nofal. The last 13 years I was a testing engineer. Now I like to shift my career as a secondary engineer, design engineer. Can you advise how to enhance my knowledge? So I think you've got a brilliant opportunity as a testing engineer who has been working, I assume, on testing secondary design or secondary systems. You could easily shift into secondary design. All you need to do is number one, learn CAD and make sure that you know how to actually design these systems from scratch using CAD. I will assume a lot here, but I will assume that you are already familiar with the specifications, with the standards, and you probably have more. I would say you could actually be better at designing than some of the design engineers, because you come from site, my friend, and this is where the expertise is, in my opinion. And I always say it, and I'll repeat it again: if you are an engineer starting out, really strongly consider starting out on site, because testing the systems, commissioning the systems, being on site next to the actual system in real life, there's nothing like it. It's second to none. So this is the experience. And when it comes to design, uh, you're not like miles away in terms of skill set. I just think it's maybe the CAD, maybe some software that you need to learn, but other than that, and you probably know it already, so I don't think you'll have problems. Now, it's about transitioning into that role, and this is where you could always apply. I mean, if people apply for design roles in secondary and they are of commissioning background, they are usually considered. I usually consider them. There's no problem with that. And in the interview, we ask them to see if they are aware of the design process. And that's what probably you need to pick up more of and you need to learn. And you could exchange that kind of information or learn from your colleagues in design. So ask them, do you have a process map for design? What inputs do you require? And what kind of touch points in design do you go through? And what kind of gate reviews and process do you follow? And what interfaces do you look out for, and where are the problems? Do you have lessons learned? They will have all this, and most people would be happily sharing with you, and try to get that in the context of your project so that you learn a lot about it. Because if you get that information on a project that you're working on, it's magic. It's your brain is going to absorb it easier, and it's going to stay with you forever, I think. Okay, another question. Keep the questions coming. Thank you for your question. Some platforms where I can learn more about BESS. Okay. I don't know. You probably, again, your best bet is to get in touch with somebody working on BESS and asking them. So I'm not working directly on BESS. I have teams that work on BESS projects, of course, but I am not the most knowledgeable on the subject. So what I would suggest is network with somebody who is in the BESS field, and they can help you with things like that. And what's the probability of threat of AI in design field? Okay, so people are getting carried away with AI at the moment, but AI at the moment is LLM. So, and I know, there are other models that are, visual and, creating all these visuals and great. But I think it's considerably, I don't know. I don't want to be saying something nonsense, but I think that it's years away. And it's not going to replace designers. I mean, is it replacing graphic artists at the moment? I don't think so. You still need the personal touch. You still need the personal experience. I wouldn't, if I'm thinking of a visual identity, for instance, or a brand, or I want a graphic design, I wouldn't go and try with AI. I would just go to a person, and that person might be using AI. Fine, that could be that's a graphic designer, could be using AI, and I think the same will happen with design. So when it comes to applications in design, I think AI will help us with all the administrative tasks. So this is the roles that are in danger. Okay, so any administrative role, so somebody who's doing administration and things like that, they need to learn AI now, because AI is just gonna increase their efficiency and their productivity, hundreds times and hundredfold. So, and for engineers, will it do that? Yes, for the admin parts. So, for example, just imagine this. First of all, AI very soon, yeah, will be able to, and actually it's already happening, not very soon, it's already happening. There are applications out there that you could ask questions about standards and specifications, and it will answer you. It will tell you this is how, this is what the clearance between, these two phases are, or whatever. And it won't, well, supposedly it shouldn't be hallucinating. It is actually extracting word for word from the specification or the standard, the relevant standard. Okay. So that's one application. Imagine, you as a, or anybody as a young engineer or an entry level engineer coming in, and they don't need years in the industry. So they don't need to spend those long years in the industry to learn specifications and standards. They could just ask a chatbot, tell me what's this and that, and they will give them, the specification. And then they could, of course, go and check the specification themselves. Okay. But that's already happening. Okay. So imagine how much time will that save, and how much will that make jobs accessible for people, that are starting out. This is phenomenal. So that's the first thing that AI is going to touch. And the second thing is going to be meetings and documentation and decisions. And I think that there is a very, very interesting case here for claim management and contractual, um, management, because when in the cases of claims or conflicts on contracts or whatever, usually they go back to records from people, from emails, from minutes of meeting and whatever. And imagine the AI just being in every, or the AI application being in every meeting, in every correspondence, and it's just keeping that record. And imagine going back 10, 15 years of records where, how long will that take you as a designer or as a contract manager or as a project manager to go back through those records? It's going to take, days, months, perhaps. And you're not going to be better than AI at extracting the context or a summary. Certainly not quick enough or efficient, as efficient. So again, this is where AI can help. AI will be able to extract summaries of records of years, and tell me who took the decision on this relay, and it will go back, through thousands of documents and drawings, and tell you, not drawings, documents and emails and minutes of meetings and decision logs and issues logs and action trackers and what have you. And it will come back and say, yeah, it's Mohammed who took this decision on this day, 3rd of April 2025. He took the decision of using this relay based on the requirement, blah blah blah. Well, Mohammed was wrong then. Yeah. So here you go. So the AI again will touch that point, that part, and I think that it will be of massive help in these domains. Now, will it change design? I am yet to see that. I know there are companies out there who are doing like schematics with AI or stuff like that, and I think this being developed. Let's see. But I still think that humans, cannot be replaced. Um, we're just going to be evolving, that's all. So we're going to evolve into different roles, okay? And AI will be a companion, will be a sidekick, yeah, an assistant. So that's it for AI. That's my view anyway. I'm not the most knowledgeable on it, and I hope I haven't said anything that is uh, gonna come and haunt me in the future. But anyway, it is what it is. We're doing this for fun. So if there are no further questions, I thank you very much for your time. And I hope that you've enjoyed this as much as I have. And I hope that you've learned something as much as I did today. And let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions. And I want your help, please. Comment and let me know what the next live should be about. Okay.